What's going on, FA Nation? John Pember here with Sean Mitchell, bringing you the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS live stream here for Tuesday, February 11th. Sean, 5-game slate. You did the man on the playbook today. I was on the value evolved. We got Adam Ronas did the starting five. So we got the whole content out there for everybody. And for being just a 5-game slate, it's actually a pretty good one with the matchups we have. We have some nice value to go over. How did you feel about putting it all together?
Well, I mean, I hate to say I was a little bit redundant, but I mean, once you got, high totals with good matchups, it's kind of hard not to. I mean, it's really a good slate. It's a good one for sure.
It is a good one for sure. Going over the game totals, last night on the podcast that I did, we pretty much had them all out there, and they all pretty much stayed the same. Every game's over 220 with the exception of San Antonio OKC, which has since dipped a couple points, and that's likely because the DeMar DeRozan news kind of shook that down a little bit, but 227.5 with the Clippers and the 76ers, 230 with the Bulls and Wizards, 241 Portland and New Orleans, again, Spurs OKC at 219, and then the late night hammer, Celtics Rockets, 232. A lot of relatively close spreads as well, with the exception of San Antonio and OKC at 8.5, so should be a good slate. Why don't we just kind of jump right into it and get it over with here? We got at the point guard spot. You do have Russell Westbrook listed. He gets a spot against Boston. Under 10K over on DraftKings, a little bit over 10K on FanDuel. How are you feeling about the top tier? Because we got basically Westbrook and Lillard as the two choices to spend up for.
I'm all over Russell. I mean, it's just hard not to. I know, the total in that Portland and Pelicans game is out of, is way up there. And it is a good spot. I'm not saying it's not for Dame. But typically, I know you said it on the pod, we've said it a gazillion times, we generally like to play Dame at home. Right. I'm not saying that I only play Dame at home, because that's not true. I play him whenever I have a good gut feeling on him, and usually it is at home, because he usually performs really well at home. Not to say, and again, Dame scored over 33 actual points in 10 of his last 12 games, which is pretty hard to do. It's really impressive. But the way Russell has been playing lately, over 50 fantasy points in his last 9 of 11 games. I mean, I know Dame's been on a heater too, but I just feel like this one has got to go to Russ. It's at home. Yeah. It's a good spot.
It's a great spot.
Yeah, I'm going with Russ.
And I think the offense, I think the defense, I mean, obviously they have to focus on him or Harden. Marcus Smart's only going to get one of them. Smart and, Harden sort of have a little back and forth at times. So, it could be, him getting like Jaylen Brown or something. So, again, Brown's still a good defender, but Westbrook, I think you're right, is in a really good spot here. If we're looking at mid-tier, I was right on with you there as well. Chris Paul, Kemba Walker, Alonzo Ball. For me, all great plays tonight. You have if you want to go with, a game stack, Kemba Walker at 7,100 on FanDuel, I think, is in a really, really nice matchup. CP3 and then Ball in their own right, also strong play. So if you're not spending up, you could just as easily just play two of those three guys and you'll be all set.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are going to kind of shy away from Chris Paul with that big spread, like you said, with OKC. Kemba is actually projected to be pretty low owned, which I find kind of interesting. We know that, the Rockets don't play a lot of defense. And I feel like this could be a game for Kemba. I really do. I feel like this. I even put it in, the playbook. I feel like this could be a breakout game for him. It's a good spot. It's a really nice pace-up spot for Boston and Kemba. But I really like Lonzo, and I'm really hoping that Ingram sits. Portland has just been awful against that point guard spot.
Right.
And he is literally projected to be almost zero owned. Everybody is flocking to Zion. Everybody's flocking to – even Drew Holiday's going to have a little bit of ownership. But
especially if Ingram gets ruled out.
If Ingram is out, that's kind of the big kicker right now. I think that Lonzo literally would go like 0% owned if Ingram is ruled in. And I'm totally fine with Lonzo right now. Yeah. It's a great spot. It's going to be a huge – we know the total's, humongous. The pace is going to be just totally out of sight here. And he's just been playing really well. 36 more fantasy points in his last 3 or 5, 7 more total steals over his last 5. He's the last time they played, he put up 7, 7, 4, and 2 steals in just 17 minutes. So if he gets 30-plus minutes, I think he can probably near a triple-double.
Yeah, he could definitely get there. Portland allowing the 5th most fantasy points, that point guard spot as well. Right. A couple guys that you don't actually have listed, one of them in my Value Vault article, And that's Tomas Satoransky. The minutes have been on the rise for him. I think he's under $5,000 on FanDuel, or is 5,100 maybe on FanDuel, or is it draft? Yeah, $4,900 on DraftKings. I knew he was under $5,000 somewhere. He's probable to play. Washington's allowing the second most fantasy points or third most fantasy points to the point guard position. Is there any interest with you with Satoransky in this spot here? Also get the revenge narrative in play as well.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up before you brought it up. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Tomas. I really don't. He's actually played well in this matchup a few times already. I just didn't feel like I would go that low at the point guard spot. I don't feel like I need to. I feel like, just as we mentioned, that mid-tier is probably worth paying up for in my eyes. So I don't mind it in tournaments for sure. I mean, obviously, he's probably decently cash worthy. He's getting good minutes. He's getting good.
The minutes have been great for him of late.
Obviously, this is going to be a pretty fast-paced game. It's a pace-up spot for the Bulls, so I don't hate it. But like I said, I'm probably just going to hang around that middle tier if I'm not just going to go ahead and pay up for Russ.
All right, we'll go to your shooting guard spot where you have James Harden. I said it on the podcast last night. We're never not going to tell you to not play Harden.
He's never not going to be in the playbook.
Right. But I also said, I'm not sure if we actually need to pay up for him today, sort of given what I feel is more of like a fair and balanced build slate. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
On most of the builds that I've done, I think that you can go fair and balanced. I do agree. I don't think you have to start and scrub this one. I don't really think that there's a lot of scrubs to play, to be flat out honest. I think
there's one noticeable one. That's about it.
Right. I feel like the value is kind of tough on this slate. I feel like, to me, you want to just play good players. That's just the way that after I did the playbook, I started building my lineups, and I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I'm going to punt too much tonight. It just doesn't. It's not one of those slates.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's certainly, we're on shooting guard. I actually don't even see him in the playbook. So let me get your take on it then with Lonnie Walker. We know that DeMar DeRozan didn't play last night. Walker played 27 minutes. DeRozan, I don't know. I haven't seen the official rule out yet on DDR.
He's not out yet, but he's doubtful.
He's doubtful. So, assuming he doesn't play, I think I saw Pop say it's unlikely that he plays. Lonnie Walker's $3,000 on DraftKings, $3,500 on FanDuel. He helps you get a lot of guys in your lineup, even if you're just using him as a singular punt. What's your thoughts on Lonnie Walker? Again, you say you want to play just good players, but is his value and the fact that he could start just that difficult to ignore?
No, it's definitely, you can't ignore it. He's going to get minutes, especially if DDR is ruled out. Obviously he has to be ruled out. That's the biggest kicker here. But on the other side, those wings for OKC have been pretty good on the defensive side of the ball too. So that's kind of something that I had factored in. I know he's dirt cheap and you can get quite a bit with him. But again, whenever I started building, I just felt like I didn't have to go there. I felt like I had enough value around what I built with that was, that I didn't have to. And trust me, I'm not saying don't play him, because obviously you can do a lot with him. I totally agree there. And if he's going to see 27, 28 minutes, you got to think that he's going to have a floor of, 18, 19, 20 points. So I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, that's fair. What's your take on, again, I think we're not talking about spending up for Harden, because I think Bradley Beal is going to be one of the more popular plays at his price point. How much Beal exposure are you looking at?
I like Beal quite a bit. Obviously, it's just a fantastic spot. He's averaging 54 fantasy points in 35 minutes over his last 4 road games. 1.52 fantasy point per minute over that, little span right there. 52 or more fantasy points in his last 7 games, or 5 of 7, sorry. Just been playing at an elite level. It is a good spot. The Bulls, on the road here in Washington, fast-paced. I really like some Bill. He's just, everything kind of aligns for him.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, this is just a really great spot for him. Flip side, Levine cheaper. Again, great match. I've said it a lot today. I feel like Chicago-Washington is the easier game to stack today. There's a lot of value really on both sides. Yeah. And you can also get in the 2 top scorers on the team and comfortably have those builds together. We have high ownership for Levine projected on DraftKings. And again, I think that's just an easy pivot to go to as well.
Yeah, I mean it is stackable. I mean, I know in chat earlier I said that was a game that I didn't like just like a whole bunch of plays out of. And to be honest, I do like other games. I mean, I really
Mhm.
do. Um, I really like the Pelicans game. I honestly really like the Houston game. And honestly,
I feel like those games are the ones where you can get the top tier players in them
uh,
by using sort of the value stack with Chicago and Washington.
yeah, exactly.
We
And
mentioned
yeah, I mean, some of my builds exactly have that. Have a
yeah,
little bit of Bertans, have a little bit of Rui.
yeah.
Um, and honestly, I know probably nobody's going to play it, but I like the Spurs in the OKC game. I think this game might. Everybody is just basically canceling out the Spurs right now at this point.
They almost won last night. Like even
They
without
were up 23 points at one time.
yeah.
They let it slide. But I'm not counting them out. I think that they can keep it fairly close enough for those guys to play decent enough amounts of minutes. And honestly, I really like a lot of players in that game.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let's go ahead more to the mid tier. You got Drew Holiday. I think for me, Ingram has to be out for me to have interest there. I'm not sure if you feel the same way on that one. Obviously, Dennis Schroeder, it seems like his price is dropping. I don't know why. The production continues to be there for him at the mid 6K range. And then your value you got here, you got Josh Hart. I have him also in the value vault. I know he's your boy. Is he dependent on Ingram for you, or do you just like him in general?
No, honestly, I would probably like him better if Ingram plays. If you guys look back, he was actually putting up over 30 fantasy points per game whenever he was in. He did it there for like 4 or 5 games straight. I think that he does better on that second unit coming in and kind of playing with the second unit more. He gets a little bit more boards. He takes a few more shots, takes a couple threes. He's been really good on the defensive side of the ball. He's been getting good numbers of steals. He's been blocking a few shots. So. I mean, he's just kind of an all-around player, and at the price, I don't mind. And he's projected to be literally zero owned.
Right.
It's been a very fast-paced matchup too. So
yeah, we're just getting we're not really getting anything. Brandon Ingram continues to be a game time decision. We already knew that. I didn't need that update. I needed the definitive in or out of you guys. So
yeah, we were looking for the definitive, but we didn't get it.
We didn't get it. We just got we got everything we already knew. He's a game time decision.
Yeah.
What's your take? Well, I guess he's a small forward, shooting guard, small forward, but I don't see him in the playbook, so I'll just ask you now on Redick. Obviously, you were all over Redick the other night. That was the night which both Zion and Ingram didn't play. If Ingram is out, do you put more faith in the Redick again?
GPP only, yeah. But, yeah, actually, I do have him in the lineup. I do for GPPs. Just for the simple fact that he can come in and shoot quite a bit. If he hits a few threes and he gets on fire, they're probably going to feed him the ball a little bit more, especially if Ingram is out, man, because there's just so much usage to spread around.
Right.
Ingram is averaging right around 26, 27% usage rate. Zion was out last game, which, really, really helped me get on Redick, and Redick had a really good game. Redick went for 27, and I think he went for like 39 last game, so – yeah, I'm definitely fine with Redick at his price. He's cheap.
Yep.
Totally fine with that in GPPs.
We'll go to small forward, and I'm a little bit maybe not surprised, but you don't have either Kawhi. You have Kawhi as a power forward, so you don't have Paul George listed as a small forward here.
PG.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, this is the way I looked at it. It's purely just like a pricing point thing.
Same thing.
With George priced out to where he's at. Trying to pull it up right here in front of me.
It's like 9.95 or
so on FanDuel, I think he might be more expensive if I remember correctly. Yeah, he's 8.4. So he's 8.4 on FanDuel. He's 8K on DraftKings though.
Okay.
Kawhi's 9.2 on FanDuel, and on DraftKings, Kawhi is priced at 9.3. Yeah. We know when they both play, they sort of split the production down the middle, basically. Right. So for me, I'm kind of leaning George in that aspect because he's a little bit more valuable in terms of point per dollar. This is a game where we're expecting it to actually be competitive and high scoring. So what is it that you actually like about Kawhi more than PG in this instance?
I don't know. It's just the simple fact that I think Kawhi's ownership is about 5 to 6% higher. They typically run through him most of the time, even when he's on the floor. I know that PG was out for those few games and Kawhi was putting up 60 fantasy points and, massively, like 4 or 5 of his last road games. I know that they've both only been putting up around 40-ish, but again, I just kind of like the spot a little bit better for Kawhi. I think he's got a little bit better of a matchup.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I went. And again, PG is not really top more than 41, 42.
Right.
I just feel like Kawhi might have just a little bit more upside, and I know the price is a little bit higher.
Yeah, my own take on the George thing, and it's been the same thing for Kawhi, to be honest with you, is that they've been so far ahead of all these teams that they're also putting up 40 fantasy points in 28 minutes, 26 minutes, 27 minutes. So maybe if this game is a more competitive one, maybe Paul George plays 33 and he kind of hits the 8K value. So
and Kawhi was out last game, right? So
yeah,
I mean, so is that a day's arrest? I mean.
I think they're both in good spots. I think they're both in good spots given the game and the matchup there. So I just want to question it because, again, I saw him out there. Obviously, I love the guy you do have in your playbook here, Gordon Hayward. $6,300 on FanDuel is like criminally low given the matchup. I think a game stack is going to be pretty popular tonight given sort of the mid-value that you're getting a lot of these Celtics at. So, a guy like Hayward, Gallinari, and Jaylen Brown for me, all just awesome price points on this, short slate.
Yeah, I mean, I think, that's what kind of way that pointed me towards Hayward was, Cubs going to likely be on Tatum.
Right.
Jaylen Brown's going to be likely on Russ or, on Harden. So that's kind of going to leave Hayward stuck with like Daniel House or, Eric Gordon's out, which he's a really good defender usually. So I felt like he would probably have more of a softer matchup. Mm-hmm. And plus I just really like the price. He's really cheap. Been playing really good, 34 more minutes. He played 34 minutes last game, 32 more his last 8 straight, 33 or more fantasy points in his last 7 of 8. 40 of those went for, 5 of those went for 40 plus.
Yep.
Again, just a good, nice pace-up spot here. I like Hayward.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Hayward is definitely the best of the two of the group. Your value play, Hudson, perfect. He's a guy that just continues to play the minutes. And for Chris Dunn, great matchup for him against Washington. He's been giving us, mid to low 20s fantasy point production. He probably can bump that up a little bit. Maybe gives us mid to high 20s tonight. Easily just surpass that value. So again, I think ownership. I am shocked to see just 1% on DraftKings. I think I feel like he's in a lot of my builds so far today, just because he's giving you that value. So maybe we'll see if we get an updated ownership shortly on that. It just seems that could be a direction a lot of people go. If we're going to the power forward position, we talked about Kawhi already, why you liked him. LaMarcus Aldridge and Zion Williamson, I have them, again, on a lot of my DraftKings builds. You can play them both. They both are power forward centers. So it's not really surprising to also see them with tremendously high ownership on FanDuel, where you're going to see a lot of people just play them both.
Yeah, I really like LaMarcus Aldridge here. Obviously, just went for 48 last game, 48, 32, and 44 in his last 3 since he, I think he missed a game and then he came back. And with DDR, he's getting a lot of usage. He's getting the ball more than he should, obviously. And I think that 6.7 on DraftKings is just too cheap in this spot. It's a good spot against OKC. He's been producing lately, and nobody's gonna. I felt like nobody was gonna play that game because everybody thought it was gonna be a blowout.
Right.
So I'm still fine with it, with the usage or with the ownership on it. I think he's just a little too cheap in that that 6.7K on DraftKings. So yeah, I had to go there. Plus, you can play him at center on DraftKings, so you kind of got the position eligibility. He just kind of fits in a lot of my builds, so that's kind of how I had to go.
Yeah, I don't hate it. You got Davis Bertans there for the Wizards. I like both him and Hachimura. I know Bertans obviously is playing over 30 minutes. It's probably why he gets the edge there for you. But all season long, Chicago against forwards and centers, just absolutely miserable. So both of them very much in play. The Daniel Tice thing is interesting for me. Obviously, he's healthy. He's going to play the majority of the minutes. We know him and Cantor are sort of in a timeshare, but Tice still saw 30. But he's not like overmatched in terms of size now because they're throwing PJ Tucker at him. Tucker may be in a good spot in his own right because now he doesn't have to deal with some 7-footer hanging over him. How much do you like Tice tonight? Is he more so in like a game stack situation, or is he someone that you do find yourself putting in lineups?
I think he's a cheap value play. Honestly, I think, on DraftKings, you can slot him at center if you want to kind of punt down there. I found myself kind of going cheaper at the center spot in some builds. So, yeah, I mean, I played Tyson a couple lineups. I think he can have a little bit of success against them. Again, they are starting PJ Tucker. Tyson is actually more of a center than he is more of a power forward, I feel. Recorded a double-double in his return game, 13 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. If he can get anywhere even close to that, I think he's going to be a success. I mean, he's generally projected to be zero owned almost. So
yeah.
if he, for some reason, if he busts out for 25, 30 fantasy points, you're going to be sitting pretty.
You're right. You're not wrong at all. There's definitely that upside there for him. If we go to center, you mentioned he's the cover of your playbook. He's someone that I immediately recognize as one of the top overall plays, especially DraftKings at just $9,100. We saw him go off the other night. He was going off the game before that, before the stiff neck got to him. And now we're looking at a spot where this game should be competitive. He should be playing the minutes, barring an injury again. And we've been going up against centers against the Clippers because they go small at Montrezl Harrell. Embiid should have a massive advantage there. In the spot. Maybe my lone concern would be the help defense that George or Kawhi will bring. Obviously, those two guys are very strong defenders, but I mean, Embiid, if he backs his guy down into the paint, really no chance there.
No, and exactly that's why. I mean, we know Joel Embiid's rotations where he plays 5 minutes and then he sits out for 3 minutes. Then he comes back in usually right when the second unit's coming in. So he's going to get quite a bit of run there against Harrell. He's going to have him outmatched. He's going to have him outsized. Again, I know he's very good at what he does, getting people in foul trouble. He could get PG or Kawhi in foul trouble if they start trying to reach in, trying to get in there in the paint with him. He's just, I think he's got something to prove. A lot of the city's hating on him right now. Somebody said that even in the chat earlier.
He told everybody to shush, and then he was sort of tweeting with Jimmy Butler. And Butler told him he knows a place where villains are welcome. I assume he was alluding to Miami. Interesting note here. Al Horford is playing off the bench tonight. They're starting Tobias Harris at power forward. Your boy Korkmaz starting at small forward with Richardson and Simmons as the starting five.
That makes me like Kawhi even more. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Tobias, but he's not just a very overly strong defender. Definitely gives me a bump to Kawhi. And again, it gives me, I'm still, I mean.
Are you going to point chase Korkmaz?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, I played him in cash. I mean, I just feel like if he's going to get 28 to 30 minutes, and I know it's already been said, Alec Burks is going to make his debut. And, I still feel like if he's going to play the three, Burks really doesn't play the three. He plays most of the two. Josh Richardson is he only played 19 minutes in the last game.
Yep.
So he could be playing the other 18 to 20, 22.
Burks could conceivably be the backup point guard. I mean, he was the point guard in Utah before, recent events where he's in more of a shooting guard.
Mainly in Golden State whenever DAR sat. So,
right.
Totally fine with Joel. Totally fine. Yeah, it kind of makes me like Embiid a little bit better because Horford is actually a decent defender. Mm-hmm. I really, really like Joel Embiid now.
Yep. And then if we're looking at other center options, you got Whiteside, Steven Adams, and Mo Wagner. Talk about Wagner's an interesting case because obviously he had a really good game the other day. We know centers against Chicago rather, are a spot we're looking to target. Andres Pachenkis was ruled out already, so there's definitely going to be more minutes there. Is Wagner somebody that you're really looking to put in lineups today, or just again sort of like a game stack pivot option?
No, I mean Chicago's terrible against centers. I feel like if he can get in there in the second unit, and I mean he's kind of a scrappy guy. I mean he can shoot the three. He puts up good numbers. His like I said, his minutes have just trended upwards really good lately. 12, 18, and then 24 last game. Put up 31 fantasy points that game too. He's projected to be literally zero owned basically in a really high total game. I'm totally fine with sticking with Matt. I'm totally fine with playing some Wagner. I think he could be a dark horse. Yeah,
and then our chalk center compared to ownership here is Whiteside against the Pelicans. Is he Embiid was your number one. He was on the playbook. You like him already. But it's not too much of a stretch to put Whiteside as a 1B here, right?
No, and that really is interesting to see Steven Adams ownership because, this is a pretty good spot for him as well. San Antonio has struggled against the center spot. So Steven Adams, I wouldn't sleep on him as well. He's really cheap, and he's actually played 28 or more minutes in his last 3 straight. His minutes are back up after he had that 5-day break or whatever. So
this is around the point where we started playing him earlier this year. Was when he was like mid-low 5Ks, and he started playing 30 minutes.
It's a buy spot, yeah. It's a buy.
He was just crushing it for us. So, yeah, I mean, that could be the time to get him on the upswing as, the fantasy production rolls on. Sean, 6:30. Any final thoughts here before we wrap this up and take it into subscriber chat?
No, I'm good.
Alrighty, everybody. Any questions? Again, hit us up in chat. Hit us up on Twitter. We'll be here till roster block for you to lead you to the victory tonight.